Hi guys, welcome to the Watch Hobbyist channel. So yesterday I brought you a very long review of this watch, and today I just wanted to bring you a shorter one just so we get down to the actual details of this watch. So this is the latest model. It's from Baselworld 2016, which was held in March in Basel in Switzerland. This model is the 116500LN, LN standing or translating to Lunette Noire, which translates to black bezel in English. And basically this is the main difference of this watch now. They haven't updated too many things, but for me I see the reason for that is that the watch before this, that preceded this, the 116520, was a fantastic watch, and it lasted for a 16-year product run with nobody really complaining about it other than a couple of key factors which I believe have been changed here, and the main one being the bezel. So the previous model to this had a steel bezel, and that could be knocked and it could be scratched and it would show wear basically. Now some people like that, they like it over the age of the watch to actually show the dings and scratches of their activities, and each scratch has a memory. Other people like myself are totally OCD and sometimes don't want to show that at all, and that's me. Basically I want a watch that I feel that I can wear and that I don't have to worry about scratching or knocking or anything like that. So this ceramic bezel, although it's only one of the key differences of the model now, makes all the difference for me in terms of buying it. If they would have released a new Daytona, it would have had a steel bezel. I would have just got an older model. If they released a ceramic one, I went and bought it, as you see. So the ceramic bezel does have a different font to the previous bezel, and it's a bit more modern in my opinion. The font on the dial is ever so slightly more bold from what I've seen in terms of picture comparisons, and we also have red lettering to the Daytona, which was there before, but now it's a very strong deep red, and it seems to be sort of thickly painted and thickly applied to the dial to the point where each letter actually seems to catch the light when you sort of turn the watch and it's in a light source. There are two dial variants of the watch. There's the black one which you see here, and there's also a white dial. The white dial actually has white center sections to the subdials, and then the subdial rings are actually black. Whereas this model, as you can see, it's a black dial with black center subsections and steel for the subdial surrounds. Now, in my opinion, it's a bit more dull on this model compared to the previous model, the steel that surrounds the subdials, and it's not quite as flashy, therefore it sort of doesn't shine so much, and I quite like that. It's a bit dulled down, and the ceramic bezel does all the flashiness of this watch. The dial itself on the black one, certainly I haven't seen the white one, but the black one is just a nice gloss finish. It's not too glossy, and it's got enough matte to it so it doesn't reflect. I also think from looking at pictures that the black dial is a bit more contrasty, and therefore telling the time looks a bit easier at first glance. The case itself is around about 40mm, and it wears absolutely beautifully. It's thin and it has this gorgeous tonneau shape to it, which I think is so much nicer than a lot of other watches which have slab sides, no sort of design element to the actual case itself other than just something to hold the movement, and then it's all about the dial. Well, this watch, I love the dial, I love the ceramic bezel, and I really like the shape of the case. That's carried over, and I'm really glad that they did. This model keeps the blue lume from the previous model, so in the later years of the previous model that actually developed blue lume instead of green lume. It's applied to all the markers around the dial, and it's applied to the main hands. It's not applied to anything like the subdials or the seconds hands of any kind, so only the main hands, only the outer markers, apart from the white gold applied Rolex logo at the very top. And on the previous model, around about 2007, they changed the bracelet from a hollow link bracelet with no extension in the clasp to a new bracelet which has full solid center links, which are actually polished satin outer links, which that was the same as the bracelet that preceded it, but now we also have this nice easy link clasp, which basically has a security feature here which we pull to get to the first stage of opening the clasp. Then you put your finger in there and you lift up another section, and now you have that going on there, so you've got the nice sort of secure part there. And you also have this little hook feature which is on a spring-loaded mechanism, and when you close it, it just slowly grabs into place. You put that over, which these ceramic ball bearings basically keep it in place, this section. So you have these little ceramic bearings, or I believe they're ceramic anyway, and then you close it and that's locked into place as well. So if by any chance you were doing some sports and this came up, then hopefully the clasp would still stay shut, and even if it doesn't, then obviously you have this section here to keep the watch on your wrist. It does have the Easy Link, which is here, and if your wrist swells for whatever reason, if you're doing activities or if it's a hot day, you basically pull it out. You know, it's got an extra ½ centimetre. If you want to put it back, then you close it and click it back into place. So that's common on quite a few Rolex now, including the GMT ceramic. I think it's actually the same bracelet, but a very good idea and very simple to do even when the watch is still on your wrist, so you don't have to worry about taking it off and dropping the watch. The steel used in the watch is still 904L steel. It's in the case, it's in the bracelet, it's very strong, it's very tough, and it has a very bright appearance. And also what's carried across is the movement. So we have the 4130 movement. That was in the previous model from 2000. It was released in the year 2000. It superseded the 4030 Zenith movement, and some of the parts were carried over, but we now have what is classed as one of the best movements in the world. It's a 72-hour power reserve. It's incredibly accurate. It has the Parachrome hairspring, which is anti-magnetic. It's not affected by temperatures particularly. The 72-hour power reserve is for the time. When you run the chronograph, it has around about a 66-hour power reserve, I believe. There's no crystal back on this watch. It's a solid steel back. But there is the reason for that, and it's because Rolex movements are just not pretty enough to show off generally. A lot of companies spend a lot of money on aesthetics of their movements, but actually the Rolex ones are just all about durability, usability, and just working. Their workhorses. And I've known people that have not serviced their watches for many, many years, and they still go somehow, even though it's totally against the laws of watch servicing. It just seems to be a watch that they do really last and last and last. And speaking in servicing, the new standard tests for Rolex are basically -2 + 2 seconds. So if you buy any Rolex now, as of July 2015 onwards, you get this new set of stringent tests that the watches have performed. So before that you had COSC chronometer certifications basically, which would allow a deviation of -4 seconds to +6 seconds per day, and if it was anywhere within that, the timekeeping, then it was classed as absolutely fine. If it was outside of that, then you would take it to Rolex under the warranty period, and they would actually regulate the watch and make it work much more correct in terms of accuracy. However, now they've actually tightened those rules even further, so it's now -2 seconds to +2 seconds per day. However, I actually know a lot of Rolex watches that just run at about +1 or 0 seconds anyway. They're generally very, very accurate. So I don't know if that's because they've changed any oils or they've changed any parts or what have you, but certainly I think if not all of them, most of the Rolex watches that you buy now have this 5-year warranty and -2 + 2 certification. There is also something that I've heard from dealers and from a couple of blogs that says that you can actually service the watch every 10 years, but I would think that's very much down to the person wearing it. And on the press release for Rolex this year at Basel, it doesn't mention anything about the 10-year servicing, but it does mention about the 5-year warranty and the -2 + 2. So that might be something to take into account with that. I had a proper read of the press release. The price currently with this watch is, in the UK as of May 2016, it's £8,250 UK RRP. In Europe, I've looked at the prices, it ranges from country to country, 11,100 to 11,800 euros. So if you're in a country that borders somewhere else, you may be wise to get down on the list somewhere that maybe it's cheaper. And in the US, I believe it's around about $12,400. That's current as of May 2016, as I say, and could change. But if you look at it, the UK does seem to be the cheapest price that you can find at the moment in terms of exchange rates and things like that. So I'm happy that I live in the UK for once, because normally our prices are absolutely ridiculous here. So that's just a quick look at all the details of this watch. I know I said quick, it's actually gone on for probably 10 minutes, but at least it's give you a more focused review on the actual details of the watch. So thanks for watching. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again soon.